Again, hey, we're going. All right, that means everybody else has stopped talking. All right, we're up here. All right, now, yesterday I didn't do a very good job of saying exactly what a monomial was, and then I felt kind of bad about it, and then I said, well, if you would just take some initiative, and maybe it would say something about it in the notes that we took. All right, so it says right here at the top exactly what a monomial is. And besides the fact, if you didn't know it, you could easily Google monomial. That's what you should have done. All right? So if you don't know something because you don't know a word and you can't take the 10 seconds to type in monomial and see what it says, we have problems. All right? So again, monomial just means a single term. All right? Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. Multiplication does not separate terms. All right? So they give you examples. All right? But let's talk about it real quick down here. All right? Number one is, yes, that's a monomial. It is a single term. Number two is called a binomial. Number two is a binomial because terms are separated by addition and subtraction. Number three, it's not a monomial, even though it looks like it has one term. You're not allowed to have division, all right? You're not allowed to have division. The variable can't be in the denominator.
Wait, so
all right, listen to me. All right, the variable cannot be in the denominator. I didn't say a fraction. The number 1/3 is a monomial, all right, because the denominator is not a variable, all right? So now, number 4, is that a monomial? Yes. Is 5 a monomial? Yes. Is 6? No. 6 is called a binomial. All right? 6 is called a binomial. Yes. It's one term. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So look at number 6. That is considered a... I know what you meant. I'm asking you to look at 6. That is a binomial. That has two terms. Terms are separated by? Is there any addition or subtraction in number 5? So it's a monomial. All right, now back to business. All right, we'll just run through these real quick because I don't think they're that hard. All right, number 7. Everybody should be able to tell me that was a to the 11th.
I'm so bad.
It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to. It's not something that you're born with here. All right, it's just following rules. When you multiply, what do? You add exponents. That's it. Come on.
All right. How do you multiply the exponents? How do you know
if you listen to the video, I give it a complete explanation of why. All right? So it's a rule. All right? Now, the rule says this. A squared is equal to A times A. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Obvious. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So, how did I get 2? I took that exponent and what? That's how simple it is to figure out what the rule is. All right? That's simple. And I get a little irritated sometimes because I'm trying to show you that you could figure out the rule even when you forget. Because you go to something as basic as what is A squared. You hear me? Right? It's very easy to figure that out. Just like it's very easy to figure out what to do when you have a power to a power. Okay? So now, number 9, the correct answer is? Number 9, we're going down. Y cubed, Z cubed. Number 11 is what? A4, B to the 8th. So are we okay so far? What? All right. Number 13 is? 6x to the 7.
Oh.
All right.
I don't understand how you got 6x.
No, listen to me. You're not allowed to say that anymore. All right? And this is what I'm trying to tell people. Listen, everybody, look up. If I tell you this is the answer, and this is what's frustrating, so look up, and you can't look at this right there and say, how in the world did he get a 6 with the numbers what? Even if you have no clue, you have very few options. You can either add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So what's the only way I can make 6 with 2 and 3? You should be able to figure that out. Now I'm looking at x to the 7. I have a 2 and a 5. What do? Even if I don't know, even if I have no idea how to do the problem, and I tell you that's the answer, and you know when I say that's the answer, that's the answer, I want you to be able to say, instead of saying, how did you get that? I want you to be able to say, wow, I see a 2 and a 3, and it tells me the answer is 6, so he must have what? I see a number 2 and 5, and he tells me the answer is 7. That must mean I have to do what? That's what I'm trying to teach you. Even when you don't know something, and I give you an answer, one of the most important things you can do on standardized tests is work backwards. So when you see the multiple choice answers, and you don't know how to do the problem, you should be able to say, okay, let's try to figure this out. You understand what I'm saying? There's only one way to get the answer. And I don't want to tell you. When I write something down, you could say that's the answer. And then you got to figure out how I did that. That's where I'm trying to move you. All right? So when you see the answer, you can tell your own self, he must have done this. All right? So now we're going to look at 15. All right? So everybody should be able to tell me now that 15 is what? 12x to the y to the beautiful. Reagan, you good now? All right. Everybody good. Boys, you weren't here yesterday, some of you. You back with me?
Yeah, I know we kind of already went by it, but number 9.
Drew, what am I doing to the exponents? Now, your problem is you don't see a 1 here and a 1 here.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. 17, the correct answer is what?
15 and 11.
Now, power to power, what do we do? Now, most kids make a mistake on this one. I just want you to say it's 10 to the 6th. Now, this is a little different. You put your hand, just listen. This one's a little different because the number has a what? Exponent. But that doesn't change the rules. Just because it's a number, this right here is a power, and this is a power. What do I do to powers? Multiply them. That's it. It's 10 to the 6th.
If the number inside the parentheses was the letter that has exponent.
We're looking at all of these. All right? Here we go. 21. So the answer to 21 would be no. 36. 36 what? P squared. Right? Because the negative 6 is being squared, which means negative 6 times negative 6. Does everybody hear me? That's positive 36. Now notice it's different in number 19 because 10 had a number there.
Oh, that's not.
That is it. I know. Listen.
You also do like if you said the exponent is a even number, you know.
Yes, that's correct. A negative to an even power is positive. Negative to an odd power is negative. All right? Now, on number 23, that should then be easy for you. 9p squared r to the 4th. All right? Now, here is, well, let's do 25. The area is length times width, right? So that's just x to the 7th. Yep. I know, you're not following the rules. When you multiply variables, what do you do to exponents? You add them. All right. Now on 27, the formula for area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height.
Oh.
That's what I want you to be able to tell me. All right. So what's half of 4
2
times 9?
18
So your area is 18p to the
4.
4th. All right. Now my other class, I'm going to do the evens with them. All right. Is everybody with me? So I don't have time to go through and just give you all the answers. All right. But again, I don't think that was that bad. All right. I don't think it was that bad. And I'm telling you, listen, Connor, come on now. You're trying to stop daydreaming for 3 weeks. All right. You did well on your last test. It's not saving you though. All right. You got to do well on the next test. All right. Then you'll have a good recovery. All right. Same with everybody else that I've been trying to, get in the right direction. No excuses. It's not hard. Learn the rules. Learn the rules. Quick.
I don't know how you got.
Allie, if I said what's half of 9 times 4? What's half of 4 times 9? There you go. How did I get p to the 4th? Because most people don't see that's p to the what?
That's what I was gonna ask.
No, that's what, listen to me now, don't be mad at me, but look, that's what I want you to do. If you don't know something, put a 1 there. Now you can see 3 plus 1. The only way to get 4 is to see 3 plus 1. Which means this right here had to be a what? Had to be a 1. All right, I want you to make some conclusions. Even if they're wrong conclusions, it's better than no conclusion. I promise you. And eventually, when you make wrong conclusions, you're practicing making conclusions, and then eventually your conclusions will be right. But don't be afraid to be wrong. All right? Figuring it out that's why math is so simple. All right? It's easy to figure out. All right? Especially when you know the rules. All right? So again, excellent. That is super important information. Super important. All right? Now let's pull out 7-2. Yesterday we did what? Multiplying. Today we're probably going to do what? Dividing. And multiply, what do we do to exponents? So now, okay, so now, so now we're going to try to think. Multiplying, add exponents. Allie, dividing, we're probably going to do what? Subtract the exponents. That's what we're talking about. You don't even know if that's true or not. All right? But that's what I would guess. All right? Now, let me explain to you why we're subtracting. Everybody look up. All right? So this is what I'm trying to show you when you take your exam and you forget everything that I've taught you. I expect you to do what? Be able to recreate the rules on your own. That's what I expect. All right? So I don't want you to memorize the rules. I want you to understand why the rules are the way they are. All right? So now I'm going to put on the board something like x to the 5th over x squared. And we're going to try to figure out, oh yeah, we know it's x to the 3rd. But I'm trying to show you why it's x to the 3rd. All right? It's x to the 3rd because x to the 5th means x times x times x times x. And x squared means what? X times x. So what happens to the x's? They cross out because x divided by x is 1. And x divided by x is 1. So 1 times 1 times x times x times x is what? X to the 3rd. Is everybody hearing me? So now they came up with a rule. When you divide, what do you do to exponents? You subtract. That's how simple that rule is. When you divide variables, you subtract exponents.
I'm not sure why did you highlight this?
Because they canceled out. X divided by x is a what? 1. That's a 1. This x divided by x is a 1. 1 times 1 is still 1. It's like this. 4 over 4. What do we do to those 4s? Cross them out, but we didn't say it was 0. We said it was a what? Anything divided by itself is 1. All right? Okay, so now let's see how good we are. All right. Now again, I don't care numerically what the answer is. I care if you understand the exponents. So if I say 5 to the 5th divided by 5 squared, you should be able to tell me that's 5 to the 3rd power. All right. All right. So here we go. Number 2 would be what?
M squared.
M squared. Beautiful. Easy? Connor, you with me or not? All right, you're writing things down. That's what you're doing. Like everybody else. Number 3. Everybody should be able to tell me quickly. Now, again, most people make a mistake and they put n to the 4th. Because why? They forget there's a 1. All right? Now, number 4, obviously, A. All right? Number 5.
Really just
Very
Y?
good. Y. Beautiful. Y.
Oh yeah.
Right? What happens to x to the 5th and x to the 5th?
Cancels.
Now, listen, I want to make sure you understand me. It doesn't cancel to a 0. It cancels to a what? 1. Anything divided by itself is what? 1. But 1 times anything is whatever that thing is. Everybody with me? All right, we're not canceling to 0. All right, number 6. Now we reduce fractions. So,
-7y cubed.
wait a minute, not -7.
No, it's just
Whoa.
12.
Stop. You guys are embarrassing me. That's a 2/14, which is what? -1/7. Come on, think of that as a fraction. Pretend this right here is not even here. Does everybody see what I'm trying to show you now?
Oh.
That's the fraction, -2/14. So the rules still apply to numbers. Does everybody see that? So that reduced to -1/7. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now we have the y's cancel. So that is the answer actually. -1/7. Very good. Because what is y divided by y? Shh. Drew, what's y divided by y?
Wait, why is my problem different?
Yeah, ours
Yeah,
is
I think
seven.
we erased
You made some of it. All right, there we go. Sorry. All right, here we go. So it's -1/7, and then it would be what, Drew?
-1/7 y squared.
Yes. All right. So y squared would be in the numerator, though. Y squared would be in the numerator.
Oh, it's big.
Right? There's more y's on top than on the bottom. All right. Thank you, guys. Number 7. Here we go. Be real careful. What happens to the x's? So my answer is y squared. Perfect. Yes.
So if there's a question like that and they like
Don't. We're going to get to it. Don't think too much. All I want you to do is say 7. You understand. Okay? I promise you we're going to get to all possibilities. I appreciate that. Hear me and listen to what I'm saying. That's a good question. But we're going to wait until we get to it. All right? I promise you it's coming. Exactly what you're saying. Okay. Now, here we go. Listen carefully now. A little bit harder now because now we have to learn the rules, or we have to remember the rules for powers to power. All right? In my opinion, you should simplify the fraction first. All right? So what's inside is now just 2ab to the 3rd power. Does anybody have any objections to that? What?
I don't get that.
Come on, man. We're trying to get up with some conclusions here. I have what here? And what here? So you don't know what a squared divided by a is. What is that? That. Right? I think you guys are just not even willing, some of you. Does everyone understand how the a squared and the a make a? If you don't know that, refer to questions 1 through 7. That's all we're doing. We're subtracting exponents. 2 minus 1 is 1. Anybody have any questions with that? That's not the answer, of course. All right? Now, the answer Now what is 2 cubed? 2 cubed today is 6. Tomorrow it's probably what? 8. Thank you. 8. Then what? A to the B to the. Beautiful. Everybody good with that? 2 cubed. 2 times 2 times 2. 2, 4, 8.
Why would it be cubed instead of
What is the rule? Power to a power. What do we do? Come on now. You're going to make your own observation here pretty soon. You're going to change everything about math that you know. What?
Would it be wrong if you put A?
That is the answer.
AB.
That's the answer. That's the answer.
Okay.
Don't put anything else. All right, here we go with number 9. All right. Can I reduce the fraction 4/3? No. All right, so I'm going to leave it as 4/3. P to the 4th over P squared gives me what? P squared. And then R to the 4th over R squared. R squared. Good job, guys. Now put parentheses around it to the 3rd power. All right? Now, it's okay if you don't know 4 cubed, but I'm going to tell you. Good job, 64. Then it would be P to the what? R to the over 3 cubed, which is?
27.
Right. See, again, some of you are making good mistakes. I don't care when you're wrong. Right? 3 cubed, a lot of people say is 9 by accident, especially after they're doing power to power and multiplying. All right, but that's why I try to show kids always this, or the 4 is a number and the 3 is a number. So that means 4 to the 3rd power and 3 to the 3rd power. Does everybody see that? 4 to the 3rd is 64, 3 to the 3rd is 27. All right, this 2 here is an exponent. So a power to a power you multiply. All right, hopefully we're good. What?
Why did you put the P squared on top?
Why? Where would you want me to put it?
Well, why did you put the numerator?
Why? How many on top? How many on the bottom? So if I take 2 away, where do I have? 2 on the top. Let's say I don't understand that still. P to the 4th means P squared. Cross them out. There's so many ways to figure that out. So many ways to figure that out. All right, you just have to take the time to figure it out on your own. And once you figure it out on your own, it becomes simple. All right, here we go. So let's look at 10. All right, I need to simplify inside first. Parentheses. Can I do anything with a 2? No. So that, leave it as a 2. What happens to the R's? R to the 1st, and then the W's cancel. Do you agree? Raised to the 4th. So what's 2 to the 4th now? Think first, 16, and then final answer, 16R to the, it's really simple. 16R to the 4th.
I just don't understand why you would keep the 4th there, because you already used it.
I haven't. I simplified.
16.
Yes, but it's
Oh,
in
for the R. Okay.
it's in parentheses. That means you raised everything inside the parentheses to the 4th power. Good job. All right, let's simplify number 11, 3 over 2. What about the R's? R, and then n to the second, raised to the 4th power. So now watch, 3 to the 4th, guys. Look up, look up. 3 to the 4th. 3 times 3 is? 3 times 3 is? 9 times 9 is?
81.
3 to the 4th is 81. That's how you should do it. And then it would be R to the n to the over 2 to the 4th. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. That's the best way to do that. All right? That's your answer. All right? Let's take a look at 12. So what happens to the r's? R to the
R to the fourth.
N to the
Four.
T to the
Cancels.
nothing. You're right. T to the 0, but technically anything to the 0 power is 1. Hear what I just said. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So when you subtract them, you get 0. It's not 0, it's 1.
So if like
2 to the 0 is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. All right, here we go. Continue on. All right, now you have to review this, please. Look up on the board. All right, super, super important. All right, this has to do with patterns. All right, so again, the easiest way for me to learn was to do it on my own, because remembering all the rules was difficult. All right, so I'm now going to try to show you why negative exponents work the way they do. All right, it had everything to do with patterns. So keep your eyes up, and you'll see, wow, that does make sense. Even though it doesn't look right, after today it will be right. All right, so when somebody says to you 2 to the 4th, you can say that's 16. When you can say 2 to the 3rd, you know that's what? 8, right? That is obvious. That's not a doubt in anybody's mind, right? So now we have 2 squared. That's what? 4. Now there was some question. What is 2 to the 1st power? It is 2. All right? 2 to the 0 is what? 1. Now, they figured that out. How did they figure that out? Because math is patterns. From here to here, I did what? Think on your own. Divided by 2. What did I do here? So here. So from here. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. That's how they figured out that anything to the 0 power is 1. Math is all patterns. All right? If you can find out what the pattern is, then you'd be very successful. What?
And then when it keeps going, like,
Here we go. No, because you're thinking now, I'm going to, just listen to me. I'm going to put the next one up, and you're going to tell me the answer. And because you're trying to think, I want you to think about it before you just say what, the first thing that comes to your mind is. Because the first thing that comes to your mind is going to be what? Wrong. All right? So if I say 2 to the negative 1, what would that be, Drew? Because you don't want Bella to tell you. What do you think it is? What's the pattern? What is the pattern? Each time, come on, Drew. Each time I did what?
Divide by 2 should be 1.
Wow. That's not hard. Now, it doesn't look right. I agree. If I were creating math, I would have just said -2. Right? But I'm not creating math. Right? I'm following the rules. So, if I said 2 to the -2, you would tell me obviously it is 1/4. Because 1/2 divided by 2 is what? 1/4. So now let me explain that. 1/4, now you have to pay attention to what I'm saying. 2 to the -2 is the same as 1/4, which is the same as 1/2 squared. Does everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Now listen what the rule is.
Oh, I see that now.
Now listen to what the rule is. If you have a negative exponent, all you do is you move it. If it's on the top, you move it where? To the bottom. Or you move it to the denominator. And then the exponent becomes a positive. Now again, I can't explain that to you. You should just understand exactly what I'm talking about. Anything to a negative exponent, you have to move. If it's on the top, you move it where? To the bottom. If it's on the bottom, you would move it to the... So now watch what I'm trying to tell you. So if I said this, if I said x to the -3 over y to the -4, you should say that is so obvious, it's y to the 4th over x cubed. That is the answer.
You want to make a
Just make a generalization. That's what you're doing right now. If it's negative, If it's negative, I move it from the bottom to the what? And it becomes a positive. So on the top, I move it to the bottom, and it becomes a what? That's the rule. I'm not going to say we're going to subtract or any of that stuff. It's much easier to understand when you have a negative exponent, you must move it. And when you move it, you change its sign. All right? Now, just so you understand what I'm saying, if I had y to the 4th here, and I move it down here, it now becomes a what? There you go. So you can do it both ways. But in math, we don't use negative exponents. So when you have a negative exponent, you have to move it. All right? Now, let's see if you understand me. All right? So, in my opinion, you should take this negative 3, and you're going to move it where? To the top. So then you're going to write 2 squared times 2 cubed, which is the same as 2 to the 5th. Common mistake is to write 4 to the 5th. The bases do not change. When you're multiplying numbers with exponents, the mistake is to make that a 4. It's not. All right? Now, of course, we know 2 to the 5th is 32, but do I care about the number? No, I'm caring about, do you understand the exponents? All right? So here we go with number 2. I move m to the negative 4 up, and it becomes m to the 4th, which makes it m to the 5th. Now, some of you are like, well, can I just write m to the 5th? Yes, but since you're a rookie, you should write out the work. And then eventually, you're going to say, well, I just know that's the answer. But some of you are stubborn, and it's going to start writing down the answers because you think you know, and then the rule's not going to sink into your head. All right? So be careful. Number 3, just like this. Which one is negative? The one on the top, so I move it to the, which is 1 over p cubed, p to the 8th, 1 over p to the 11th. Now, why is there a 1? Because everything moved away, right? You don't have a fraction with nothing in the numerator. All right? There's a 1 in the numerator. All right? So let's see how you're doing. Number 4. I just rewrite that as b to the 5th over b to the 4th, which is just, look how simple that is. Simple, simple, simple. Tell me, come on, girl. What am I doing here? Multiplying or dividing?
Oh.
That's okay. What?
So,
Good for you.
Number 4, we didn't make it a fraction. We said it equals b.
So we can make it b over 1 if you want.
But like, in number 3, did it have to be 1 over 3?
Right, right. It's just like if I say 2/4.
So like
2/4 isn't 2, it's 1/2.
So 3 are just going to p11.
So you have to have a number.
Look.
But you don't have to have
Oh, okay.
There's a 1 in the denominator if it's not a number. She's right. But if there is no number in the denominator, it's still a what? 1.
Yeah.
If there's no number in the numerator, it's a what? 1.
Okay.
What, Connor?
If you go from B5
Because we've been doing it now for 30 minutes. When you divide, what do you do to exponents?
Oh yeah, they cross out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why I was saying your name early, and I got tired of saying your name. All right, so I'm just ignoring you, like you're ignoring me. All right? Now, number 5. Here we go. Anything to the 0 power is what? 1. So this becomes a 1 over. The 4 can stay. The W has to what? Move. So I move it to the top. W to the 1st. Do I have to put to the 1st? No. But Y stays. Now please look at that and make sure you got a good grip on that. Anything to the 0 power is what? 1. So this whole thing, put your hand down. This whole thing is a 1. No negative exponents. What's the only one with a negative exponent? W. So that's the only thing you have to move. It's on the bottom. So I move it where? To the top.
Why wouldn't you use the 4?
Does 4 have a negative exponent?
Oh.
Come on. No, it does not. You move negative exponents. Everything else stays where it goes. Stays where it is. All right. Let's take a look at number 6 now. All right. Got all kinds of problems here. All right. First and foremost, a to the 4th, b to the 6th. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Because I just took care of the numerator. Now, why is the denominator a problem? So I have to move that whole thing up here. So it'd be AB what? Squared. Everybody with me on that? All right. Now I have a to the 4th, b to the 6th, a squared, b squared. Everybody see that? So then that now becomes, yes. Now if you'd write it down, you'd be really smart. Sitting there staring and watching isn't making you any smarter. All right, number 7. Now, I wish everybody could look at that and say anything the 0 power is. So that crosses out. Then what moves? Moves to the top. So that gives me x squared. So I have x to the 4th times x squared, which is x to the 6th. Beautiful. Everybody happy with that?
So why wouldn't you just put the 1? Why would you put the
I'm not sure. What is your question?
From the y to the 0.
What is y to the 0?
It's 1.
So what do you want?
So why wouldn't you put it in?
Does that make you feel better? And then you want it here too? Doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Come on, you're getting there. All right, I'm happy with that. You hear me? Don't be mad at me. All right. Everybody understand what she's saying? If you need to put the 1 there, feel free. Put the 1. Is it necessary? No, it is not. Some people, when you're starting out, it's better to put the 1. All right? Go.
4 and 7. Why did you do 4? Why do you do 2 fractions for 7 years multiply?
Okay, listen. I'm not trying to be funny, but listen. This right here, listen, I promise you. That's a division.
I know, but
This is a multiplication. I looked at the problem. Shh, no, listen to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be serious now. I'm not being funny. It sounds funny. When I say just look at the problem, that's how I tell. This is a what type of problem? That's a what? Division. How do I know that? There's a division bar. No, not anymore.
Oh, it's separated.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So look, we moved the -2 to the top, which made it a what now? Multiplication. And it made it positive. You hear me? All right, good. Keep asking. All right, here we go. Got problems here. Okay, now I need your attention. All right, there's multiple ways of doing these problems. I always tell you what I think is the best way. Some of you don't agree with me, and that's perfectly fine. You can learn the hard way. All right, this is the best way. All right, normally I say move things right away. Can I move this a to the -1 down? No, she's right, because it's already attached to a what? To an exponent, right? So I have to fix that first. So please listen. These are a little bit different now, a little bit more difficult as we go down the page. But you should be able to say that's 36, a to the -2, b squared over b to the 8th. Now, come on. Those of you guys, you got to pay attention. I'm telling you, Connor, you're not going to be able to go home and just go, okay, this is easy. I listened. You got to put in the time right now. Anybody have any questions with that? Drew, what?
I don't really understand how you got the 36.
What is 6 squared, Drew?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now, very good. So now, what's the problem? What's in the way? Now I have to move a, right, because it has a negative exponent. So I'm going to throw a down. So 36 a squared. Everybody got that? Allie, listen. Don't.
Why would you move the A without the 36?
Because the 36 doesn't have a negative exponent. Very good.
Oh, because the one. I don't
That's
see the
right.
one.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's what I'm saying. You guys, listen to me. Some of you guys are, I'm trying to make you mad at me sometimes because I want you to listen better. All right? And I want you to discover on your own. All right? Now listen. Hey, listen. Let me just tell you this last answer right here. And then I think you should have everything. That would be b to the 6th. Everybody hear me? Make sure you write that down. All right? Now, I am going to probably finish 9, 10, 11, and 12 with the other algebra class. And your assignment is to try 1 through 26. All right? I need that done now, especially some of you guys who I've had conference after conference with. You made A's. Now it's time to continue. Don't be lazy. You're right. You're welcome.